Unfastening a latch, Kendra pushed the window open. She had a good view of the forest east of the house, illuminated by the golden hues of the setting sun. Moving the telescope closer to the window, she spent some time mastering the knobs, bringing the leaves on the trees below into crisp focus. "Let me see," Seth said. He was standing beside her. "Pick up those toys first." A mess of toys lay piled near the open chest. "Grandpa said we can do what we want in here, without making a disaster. You already wrecking the place." "I'm playing. This is a playroom." "Remember how Mom and Dad said we need to pick up after ourselves?" "Well, remember how Mom and Dad aren't here?" "I'll tell." "How? Stick a note in a bottle? You won't even remember by the time they get back." Kendra noticed a calendar on the wall. "I'll write it on the calendar." "Good. And I'll look through the telescope while you do that." "This is the one thing in the room I'm doing. Why don't you find something else?" "I didn't notice the telescope." "Why don't you share?" "Don't Mom and Dad also tell us to share?" "Fine," Kendra said. "It's all yours. But I'm closing the window. Bugs are coming in." "Whatever." She shut the window. Seth looked into the eyepiece and started twisting the focus knobs. Kendra took a closer look at the calendar. It was from 1953. Each month was accompanied by an illustration of a fairyland palace. She turned to the calendar to June. Today was June 11th. The days of the week did not match up, but she could still count down to when her parents would return. They would be back June 28th. "This stupid thing won't even focus," Seth complained. Kendra smiled. Chapter 2. Collecting Clues. The next morning, Kendra sat at breakfast across from her grandfather. A wooden clock on the wall above him read 8:43. Reflected sunlight flashed in the corner of her eye. Seth was using his butter knife to bounce sun rays. She was not seated close enough to the window to retaliate. "Nobody likes the sun in their eyes, Seth," Grandpa said. Seth stopped. "Where's Dale?" he asked. "Dale and I got up a few hours ago. He's out working. I'm just here to keep you company on your first morning." Lena set a bowl in front of Seth and another in front of Kendra. "What's this?" Seth asked. "Cream of wheat," Lena replied. "Sticks to your ribs," Grandpa added. Seth probed the cream of wheat with his spoon. "What's in it? Blood?" "Berries from the garden and homemade raspberry preserve," Lena said, placing a platter on the table containing toast, butter, a pitcher of milk, a bowl of sugar, and a bowl of jam. Kendra sampled the cream of wheat. It was delicious. The berries and raspberry preserve sweetened it to perfection. "This is good," Seth said. "Just think, Dad is eating snails." "You kids remember the rules of the woods?" Grandpa said. "And to stay out of the barn," Kendra said. "Good girl. There's a swimming pool out back that we got ready for you. All the chemicals are balanced and whatnot. There are gardens to explore. You can always play in your room. Just respect the rules and we'll get along fine." "When is Grandma coming back?" Kendra asked. Grandpa glanced down at his hands. That depends on your Aunt Edna. Could be next week. Could be a couple of months." "Good thing Grandma got over her illness," Kendra said. "Illness? The one that kept her from going to the funeral." "Right. Yeah. She was still a little under the weather when she left for Missouri. Grandpa was acting a little peculiar." Kendra wondered if he was uncomfortable around children. "I'm sad we missed her," Kendra said. "She's sorry too." "Well, I better be off," Grandpa said, not eating anything. He pushed his chair back, stood up, and stepped away from the table, rubbing his palms against his jeans. "If you swim, don't forget to wear sunblock. I'll see you kids later." "At lunch?" Seth asked. "Probably not until supper. Lena will help you with anything you need." He left the room. Dressed in her swimsuit, a towel over one shoulder, Kendra stepped through the door onto the back porch. She carried a hand-held mirror she had found in the nightstand by her bed. The handle was a mother of pearl studded with rhinestones. The day was a bit humid, but the temperature was pleasant. She walked to the railing of the porch and gazed over the gorgeously manicured backyard. Paths of white stones meandered among flower beds, hedgerows, vegetable gardens, fruit trees, and flowering plants. Tangled grapevines curled along bedside lettuces. All the flowers seemed to be in full bloom. Kendra had never seen such brilliant blossoms. Seth was already swimming. The pool had a black bottom, and it was fringed with rocks to make it seem like a pond. Kendra hurried down the steps and started down a path toward the pool. The garden teemed with life. Hummingbirds darted among the foliage, wings nearly invisible as they hovered. Huge bumblebees with fuzzy abdomens buzzed from one blossom to another. A stunning variety of butterflies fluttered about on tissue paper wings. Kendra passed a small, waterless fountain featuring a statue of a frog. She paused as a large butterfly alighted on the rim of an empty bird bath. It had huge wings, blue, black, and violet. She had never seen a butterfly with such vivid coloring. Of course, she had never visited a world-class garden. The house was not quite a mansion, but the grounds were fit for a king. No wonder Grandpa Sorson had so many chores. The path finally deposited Kendra at the pool. Variegated flagstone paved the poolside area. There were a few recliners and a circular table with a big umbrella. Seth leaped from a stone outcropping into the swimming pool, legs curled up, and hit the water with a big splash. Kendra set her towel and mirror on the table and grabbed a bottle of sunblock. She smeared the white cream over her face, arms, legs, until it disappeared into her skin. While Seth was swimming underwater, Kendra picked up the mirror. She angled the face so it reflected sunlight into the water. When Seth surfaced, she made sure the bright splotch of sunlight covered his face. "Hey!" he shouted, swimming away from her. She kept the glare from the mirror on the back of his head. Gripping the side of the pool, Seth turned to look at her again, throwing up a hand and squinting to ward off the light. He had to look away. Kendra laughed. "Cut it out," Seth called. "You don't like that? Quit it. I won't do it anymore. Grandpa already yelled at me." Kendra set the mirror on the table. "The mirror is a lot brighter than a butter knife," she said. I bet it already did permanent damage to your retinas." "I hope so. Then I'll sue you for $1 billion." "Good luck. I have about 100 in the bank. It might be enough for you to buy some eye patches." He swam toward her angrily, and Kendra walked forward to the edge of the pool. As he started climbing out, she shoved him back in. She was almost a full head taller than Seth, and could usually handle him in a fight, although if they ended up wrestling, he was pretty squirmy. Seth changed tactics and started splashing her, making quick scooping motions across the surface of the pool. The water felt cold, and Kendra recoiled at first, and then leapt over Seth into the water. After the initial shock, she swiftly grew accustomed to the temperature, stroking over the shallow end away from her brother. He chased her, and they ended up in a splash fight. Locking his hands, Seth swung his arms in wide arcs, skimming the top of the water. Kendra pushed at the water with both hands, a churning motion that generated smaller but more focused splashes. Soon they grew tired. It was hard to win a water fight, with both participants were already soaked. "Let's have a race," Kendra suggested, as the splashing subsided. They raced back and forth across the pool. First they raced freestyle, then backstroke, breaststroke, sidestroke. After they created handicaps, like racing with no arms or hopping across the width of the shallow end on one foot, Kendra usually won. But Seth was faster at backstroke and some of the handicap races. When Kendra grew bored, she got out of the pool. Walking toward the table to retrieve her towel, she stroked her long hair, enjoying the rubbery texture as the wetness made the strands cling together. Seth climbed on top of the big rock near the deep end. "Watch this can opener." He jumped with one leg straight and the other bent. "Good job," Kendra said to placate him when he surfaced, shifting her gaze to the table. Kendra froze. Hummingbirds, bumblebees, and butterflies swirled in air above the handheld mirror. Several other butterflies and a couple of large dragonflies actually rested on the face of the mirror itself. "Seth, come look at this," Kendra hissed in a loud whisper. "What?" "Just come here." Seth boosted himself out of the pool and padded over to Kendra, arms folded. He stared at the cloud of life whirling above the mirror. "What's their deal?" "I don't know," she replied. "Do insects like mirrors?" "These ones do. Look at the red and white butterfly. It's enormous." "Same with that dragonfly," Seth pointed out. "I wish I had a camera." "I dare you to go get the mirror," Seth shrugged. "Sure." He trotted over the table, grabbed the mirror by the handle, dashed to the pool, and dove in. Some of the insects scattered instantly. The majority drifted to the direction Seth had gone, but dispersed before reaching the pool.